Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creators Spotlight, where we highlight the stories of intuitive creators who have transformed their lives and now are on a journey to help other people transform their lives too. I am Stella, your host, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Let us know your thoughts as you're watching this video and like this video to know that you're watching us. Today we have an amazing guest, Veronique. She's also known as V. She's a business astrology strategist and oracle. She combines 16 years of business experience, a degree in marketing, and a deep understanding of astrology to create strategies that help her clients achieve consistent 10K months and beyond. Hi, Veronique. Welcome to this interview.
Hello, Stella. I'm so happy to be here.
So am I. I am so fascinated by the work that you do. And I also know that you are extremely and beautifully passionate about astrology. Can you tell us, how did you discover astrology?
So that's actually a bit of a fun story because if you would take me like 5, 6 years back, I was an astrology skeptic. I was not believing in it at all. And I actually almost laughed in my spiritual coach's faith, where in the first session that we had together, that was 5 years ago now. That's, oh my God, time flies by. In our first session that we had together, she didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about her. She asked me if I was interested into having a business and if I was somehow like connected to, studying the stars and the cosmos. And I was like, well, no, because I believe that astrology is not real. And she was like, well, girl, I'm just telling you what, spirit wants me to tell you. And like, funnily enough, about like 6 months after chat together, I stumbled upon an amazing astrologer on Instagram who at the time, well, she still does. She was offering like full moon circles. And being a Cancer, like I always tuned in into the moon. So I started taking her meditations. And I connected to astrology this way, end up following like all over classes, all over like, of course, she's still my astrology mentor to this day. And this is how I got started. Like I stumbled upon an amazing lady who was super spicy, had a personality I resonated with. And I was like, if there's someone that can make me believe in astrology, that it's this person. And yes, she did.
This is so magical when we understand that sometimes when something needs to change in our life, we experience some sort of situation and or we may connect with people who are these catalysts for our changes in life, which is incredible because our my intention with these interviews is also to bring these stories into the world because maybe someone else is watching now and thinking, oh, I heard so much about astrology, but I'm not sure about it. And now here you are sharing your story with us, which is super inspiring. So how did astrology become a tool for business strategy for you?
So for me, one of the first things that I noticed as I was following, you know, my first astrology classes ever, it called out to the part of me that was also a bachelor in business marketing. And as I was following the classes, like there's a part of my brain that was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I mean, this could be applied to XYZ in business. I mean, that could be so magical for business owners. Like, I mean, and I started talking to my spiritual, guide at the time, and I was like, oh my God, like I just discovered astrology, and I was talking to her about this, and she's like, yeah, girl, it's called business astrology. And I was like, that's a thing. Like, here I was thinking I was revolutionizing the whole astrology world by inventing business astrology. Turned out I was not, but I definitely like ended up perfecting my own astrology method for business owners. So part of me was kind of like revolutionizing it already. I just didn't know it yet. So yeah, it just turned out like that it called to my marketing and my business brain part so much that I was like, there's something to be done with, and more people need to know about this.
And that's just to show how we always learn something new. And as we stay open to new things, we will understand when something resonates with us. And then this spark of curiosity can mean something really interesting and important for our life. And before I go to the next question, can we just take a moment to acknowledge how we are both dressed in blue today? This was such
Yeah.
a fun moment when I just opened the screen for this interview, and I realized we are both in blue. And what's more interesting about this is that I just woke up with this image in my head that I need to have blue. So just in case anyone who's watching is wondering, like, what's this? Like, did you plan that? Well, no, we didn't. But clearly, intuitively, somehow we communicated with each other. So
Yeah.
from having this background in marketing and learning so much about business and then stepping into astrology, of course, as you're studying astrology, you open up to connecting with universe, stars, planet, and everything that is around as well. How do you feel learning astrology has helped you learn more about yourself on this journey of growing your business?
It just like I think it helped me connect back to who I was, and it kind of like gave me permission to really embrace the sides of myself that I was feeling called to embrace, but I wasn't like daring, or I wasn't having the confidence to own them and to fully like back them. I think one of the easiest example that can resonate with a lot of people, whether you're very versed in astrology or not, is understanding and knowing about what we call in astrology your big threes. It's, the three main signs that kind of like build the core foundations of your personality, which are the sun sign, the rising sign, and the moon sign. And as human beings, we are taught from the moment that we understand what an horoscope is to identify to our sun sign, because it's the easiest one to know. It's like you're born on like XYZ date, and this is, the sun sign that you're kind of like born into. Um, and growing up, I always described myself as a broken Cancer. I mean, already the words that I was using, I was thinking of myself as being broken, because when you read about Cancer personality, about Cancer, like even like physical traits or anything about Cancer, this was not me. Like, and even like people that were knowing me, they were like, "Oh, what's your sign?" I was like, "I'm a Cancer." They were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a broken Cancer. What do you want me to say to you?" Like, And this is when I discovered that my rising was Scorpio, and that I had like not only a moon in Leo, but I had a whole stellium in Leo. I was like, okay, now this makes sense. This makes so much sense to me. I was like, I see myself in this totally. So I was like, here comes the passive aggressive, like, hello, like Scorpio and rising, like, and here comes like the need to be seen by people and to be recognized. Like, here come the big Leo energy here. I was like, you know what? This is why I'm not humble. Like, I don't have humble bone in my body, and usually cancers are very humble. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. I can ditch this like false like quiet, I'm going to like be reserved personality because I'm supposed to be a shy and like intuitive Cancer that stays at home, and I'm going to fully embrace who I am as a human being, but also as a business owner. And ultimately this is what helped my business gain traction, like my in-person business but also my online business, because I kind of gave myself permission to be who I wanted to be.
That is very powerful. And I love that you mentioned part of your experience as using this word of like broken Cancer, because this is really, really powerful when we select certain words, or sometimes we hear other people saying things about us or about something related to whatever is happening for us. And we're like, okay, what if this is true? And And statistics show that there are higher chances for us to remember negative words than the
Yeah.
positive ones. And then you keep playing them again and again. And I just love how you described how you started looking into everything else and giving yourself the permission to step into your power, to embrace who you are. And I must say, I remember that moment when I realized that rising and moon have a big influence as well, because I am Capricorn, but I love to connect with people. And then when I looked at my rising, which is Libra, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense because they're completely different signs, aren't they? And I'm like, okay, but I can recognize, the Capricorn parts, and I can recognize the Libra now. So I just love that you mentioned these things, and also as guides, as in your case, business astrologer. Um, what we say to people will continue to play a big role in their life. Can you remember a situation in your work when you had to deliver a more sensitive message for someone? And if you can remember that, how do you know that changed their trajectory? How did that inspire them?
Well, it's never easy to when I have a business owner that comes to me with a specific ways that they're doing things, and I'm like, well, what you're doing right now versus what I'm seeing, you are not in the right direction right now. I mean, this is not going to work out. Like because like this person has been pouring their heart in their business. It's their baby, It's like, when you're a business owner, it's like it's hard. It's like your business is almost an extension of you. It's like you created this from the ground up. So when you have to tell someone that you're just like, well, I'm sorry, but like what you created right now is not in alignment with what I'm seeing in your birth chart. And I remember the first time that I had to do this, because there's a first time to everything, right? I was feeling so bad because there's part of me that's like, well, I'm a very honest person. Those people come to me because they want my honest advices and opinions and guidance on this. But part of me, I'm like, I don't want to insult you. I don't want to bring you down. I don't want to, diminish your efforts. And it ended up that this person was actually, I knew it. I freaking knew it. And then she started explaining to me that she built her business XYZ way because she hired a coach before that told her if she wanted to be successful, this was the way she needed to build her business. And actually, she was like, I hate my business. I don't like the way that I'm doing this. And she was like, you know what? Now I know why. And I kind of have a confirmation that there's a reason I'm hating my business. I'm not crazy. So part of me was like, oh, fucking thanks God, you know? But imagine if I was like, if that part, if I had shut down that honest part of me that wanted to tell her that what I'm seeing is not it. It's not working out. I was like, and I didn't know if that person had results or not. So I was like, imagine I'm telling her that this is not it. And she's making shitload of money with this. And I'm telling her that it's not working. Like, I mean, what am I going to be? And she was like, yeah, I'm making money, but I fucking hate it. I was like, oh, okay,
Wow.
perfect. Good.
Wow, and this is a clear example of what it means to continue to tune into who you are and learn more and more about yourself. And what a great courage from you to share that message. And I can completely relate to that because yeah, you receive different kind of messages from clients and they go through different situations. But then there is that thing that we have to always remind ourselves that there was a reason why that person was drawn to our energy to be their
Mhm.
business astrologer, for example, in your case. And yeah, and that's interesting. It's interesting for sure because then you know that no matter how sensitive that message was, you shared the truth, and then you know that you've done you can sleep well at night. You just
Well,
shared.
now I'm just like now I've done more than one readings, obviously. So now when I see something, I actually speak up and I'm like, well, I mean, whatever, like now I have that confidence. But that first time that I'm online with someone proposing my services, like baby astrologer me, that's like, okay, I have to tell this person that like right now what I'm seeing is not it. And I'm like, holy shit, what if she disagrees? Like, I mean, what if that I'm wrong? Like, I mean, what if like, it's
Yeah.
like I remember talking to at a business convention, like at a in-person event that I was recently. And there was this amazing person I connected with who's like a tattoo artist, but also a business owner. And we're talking about courage and like, our first times. And she's like, girl, imagine the first time that I had to tattoo someone. I'm like putting ink forever in that person's body. Like, I'm like, I was scared as fuck, you know?
Mm. Yeah, and then there is also not a coincidence who is that person who experienced
Yeah.
that for the first time, because I think this is always memorable. Even I imagine for doctors, for example, or for anyone who does something that um, requires them to offer some sort of service to other people. Of course, it's scary, but that's why you're here today, because you had that first time, and you didn't give up. You continued to follow your own path, and how inspiring is that? So, for someone who is new to astrology, or maybe they just know their like main things about their chart, how would you say that their birth chart is connected to the success in their business?
Well, I always say that your blue chart is your blueprint to success. It's like, um, there's like this sentence that, I hear especially moms say, like, oh my God, I wish my child was to come with a user's manual. Like it would be so much easier. And I was like, well, your child actually comes with a user's manual. It's called his birth chart, so us as human beings come with, that famous user's manual, and it's our birth chart, because what a birth chart is ultimately a picture of of the sky, of like the planets and like the elements at the time of your birth. And of course, this does not like set in stone the path that you're meant to take. I mean, there's still free will that is going to play a lot in like the direction that you're going to be, but it ultimately helps you understand how your soul is meant to react or, grow in certain situations. So when you understand how your soul works, you also understand how your soul is meant to create success. And that can be success in a bunch of different fields, because this is the beauty of astrology. There's so many specialties in astrology for a reason, because it can mean success in your family life, it can mean success in your relationships, it can mean success in your business and how you generate money, which are ultimately like two of the things that we love to check out with for business astrologers like me. So it's ultimately looking at how your soul was designed and built so you understand how you come to function as a human being. And when you understand how you function, then you also understand how to react, how to interact, how to grow, or how to handle different situations. And then, grow your soul from there and your success by the time, at the same time.
Thank you so much for that. You built a beautiful picture, very clear picture of what that means. And so, what would you say are some of the, key astrological placements to look for when somebody is like interested in building their business?
Well, for me, if you build your business, I'm going to look at your 10th house. Your 10th house is your house of business, is your house of career. It's anything that is related to fame, being known, like being in the public's eye. So when you're a business owner, you're very much there. Now, it depends. Like there's a bunch of things that I really like to look at. Um, but mostly I tend to look at your second house next and what's in your second house, because this is the money generating house. So, if you're business owners, let's be honest, you love money, you love generating money. It comes with the business, it comes with the job, right? And then the third thing that I really like to look at is your Jupiter placement, because then this tells me how your soul is meant to expand. And when you look at a business situation, well, expansion means growth. It means like, expanding the size of your business. It means expanding your income. It means expanding and stretching as a business owner. So again, there's like a case by case situation because different business owners are at different places or seeking different things. Um, but those are like three key placements that I really love when it comes to business. And then, like, of course, there are like a bunch of different things that, I do and look at depending on your situation. If you want to grow, if you want to know how to be uncomfortable, if you want to know how to stretch, if you want to know how to, raise your income, if you want to know how to call in more dream clients, like, depending what's your situation, there's like a bunch of things. But usually, like, second house, 10th house, and Jupiter are like really winning placements for me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for this really valuable information. So, if you were to reflect on all the stories that you heard from your clients and how you helped them achieve 10K plus months in their business, I know you mentioned, and that's of course true, that everybody is different and they would like take decisions in a way that aligns with them. But if you can remember one example where the person went from, okay, I'm making some money, I started my business, but I was ready to go from there to 10K plus. How did astrology help that client achieve that level of success? By working with you, of course.
So for me, it's all about knowing when to do certain steps and how to do them. So something that I love to do with my one-on-one clients is that each week on Monday, I send them a little voice note of how the upcoming week's energy is going to influence them personally. So they know what to work on in a specific week. And the perks of being one of my one-on-one clients is that I know your business. I know where you're at in your business. I know where you're working at. So I can customize those messages to what I know you are working on behind the scenes. I know if you're working in a launch. I know if you're working, on building a new program, if you're working on building a new funnel. Because ultimately, I have clients that are just starting their business that came to me, they literally have no clients. And they were like, I want a structure. I want a basic outline strategy that is going to help me get started. And then I had clients that, I have a client, she had like a 30K launch about a month ago. Um, but context, like this client usually was making like already like pretty good. Like her launches were ranging between like, 10 to like 15Ks. But this one, she made a 30K launch because we adjusted her messaging around who she wanted to call in for her mastermind for, those specific like 10 spots that she wanted to fill. I was like, okay, well, let's get crystal clear on who you want to call in for those 10 spots, what they're looking at. They're looking for, are they looking for something deeper? Are your ideal people the people that you're currently calling in into your offers, or are we something for something else, looking for something else? And she sold out the spot at like, 3K per spot, 10%, that's a 30K launch.
Wow, what a gift this is. Obviously, clients come for the services that you provide, but then through that service, you offer such a beautiful gift. When they walk away from that session or whatever program you're offering and saying, oh my God, I did a 30K launch and I didn't even expect that. What a beautiful gift is that. So, what would you say are the most common patterns or and challenges for your clients when they go from like I had no clue about how to create success and now I'm working towards creating success? What would you say are the biggest challenges or and patterns for them?
So they need to shut down the outside noise first, because in an industry where, yes, so many people that are using the easy money scheme to make sales, and that, well, I made like 200K my first year without giving anyone like context on how they achieved that. One of the biggest challenges for those people is to shut down the outside noise and then to refocus on what it is that they need to do then accordingly to their goals, their soul, their step-by-step actions, and kind of like staying focused on this. I am someone that in my messaging, I'm never, ever, ever going to promise you, a specific income results because it's different for everyone. What I can promise you is that I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that our time together is going to, beneficiate you as much as possible and that you're going to grow yourself and your business as much as possible during our time together. And I never had a client achieve no results, but the results are different. Um, so ultimately, this is about refocusing on their goals, their objectives, their journey, and also allowing themselves to grow and to build something that is also going to be on the long-term basis. So I never worked, I once refused a client that wanted to go from scratch from 0K months to 10K months in 3 months. She was like, this is what I want to do. I want a coach that's going to get me that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but where you're at, it's virtually impossible. It's not like 100% impossible, but it's likely not going to happen. So we need to like review and tweak your expectations. And she was like, well, no, this is what I want to do. So I was like, well, we're not in alignment. I'm sorry. I'm not going to promise you this. So
Mm.
it's mainly about, refocusing on your lane and refocusing on what I call real business expectations versus like, those, oh, my client like suddenly like, farted like 100K weeks after one call with me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, never happened.
Yeah, and maybe, this can be possible, like you said, but if you look at the reality of things, you have
Yeah.
to be mindful of so many elements. And for someone like this example, like this person that you just mentioned, if they come and say, hey, but I heard so many other people do this and they hired so many amazing coaches and that they helped these people. So why is this not possible for me? If I would integrate, astrology in my strategy, why is this not possible for me? Because they might, of course, the expectations might be high. So how would you work? Like, say, for example, maybe it's not such a dramatic case. Maybe it's somebody who comes in and says, well, I am at 5K, I want to achieve 10K in a couple of months. And maybe they are a little bit flexible. How do you work with someone like that to adjust the expectations, and do you encourage people to have expectations when it comes to that?
Well, I mean, it's good to have income goals. It's very good. Now someone who's already making 5K, per month, it tells me that they already have a certain structure in place. They already have programs in place. They already have some kind of audience. So it's like in business, the hardest part is getting started because you need to literally create and build from the ground up, from scratches. And I never ever heard of a business owner that achieved a six-figure their first year and they started from zero. I mean, when I mean zero, I mean zero audience, zero experience, zero like social media following, zero like everything. I never heard of that. Every single coach or business owner that I asked, okay, but where did you start it from when you made that first, six or multi-figure year in your business? Every one of them either had strong business experience, they either owned other businesses before or worked for companies where their role were to grow said company's business, so they knew what to do already. They either had already a very active audience, either because they had previous businesses before or they already were growing their accounts for a certain time. They already probably had offers or structures or at least an idea on how to build a business structure that was going to work for them. So I never ever heard, even like I once remember asking a coach that was like, oh, well, I earned 200 something K in my first year. And I was like, okay, what was your audience like when you started? And she's like, I spent 6 months growing my audience 7 days a week before I actually launched my business. I was like, here we go. You
Mm,
add, she was like, I meant I was doing 6 months, no revenue. She was on Instagram every day, doing lives, nurturing an audience, commenting on people's like things like 5 day a week, 7 days a week for 6 months.
mm,
So yes, when she launched her business, she already had a super warm audience that was heavily targeted. So it was easier for her to make sales. There's always something more going behind the scenes. And this is again a case by case. If someone comes to me making 5K per month with a very solid structure, programs are already made, warm audience, and I'm like, well, okay, doing 10K months for you is very doable. We just need to tweak some strategies. We just need to like own up and find out what is really working off for you and do more of this. And then use astrology to maximize your momentum. That is doable. It is like very easily reachable. So I'm all for having expectations and specific goals, like whatever are
mhm.
those, income or like, client wise or personal wise. But it's also about making sure that those goals are realistic for where you're at right now.
I love that. I'm so glad we're talking about this because there is this trend online to just say, oh, you can just make 10K overnight or 100,000, whatever, overnight. And I'm glad we're talking about this because the reality is there is a lot of work that is happening behind the scenes. And someone like you, as a business astrologer, can help that person focus their energy where it's needed instead of like spreading thin and trying all the different models, and you're buying time, like with
Yeah.
knowing exactly where to look at when you meet people. Okay, when you go to places, when you just interact with different beautiful souls, and they ask you what you do, and then you say, well, I'm a business astrologer. What is their first question normally?
Usually, it depends if they know astrology or not. Uh, the first question that usually is okay, okay, what does a business astrologer do? Like, what do you do? Specifically, what do you sell?
Mm,
And this is okay, well, I mean, I work with smaller business owners, like, I help them with their strategies, I help them with their structures, and I help them, with their energy and their mindset, and I help them to understand themselves more and understand, their business and their next steps and really like lean into this and generate momentum using this. And then, it's like, well, I use your birth chart to as like my guideline to help you direct your next steps in your business. And then they're like, oh, that's a thing. I'm like,
mm.
yeah, it's a thing. And this is like so funny because a lot of people that I talk to, they don't necessarily know a lot about astrology. And one of their first reaction is, there's money to be made in that. I'm like,
Ooh.
yes.
And that's a thing. And you are incredibly good at that. For everyone who's watching us, please check out the description of this video to find out how you can connect with Veronique because she is absolutely incredible at what she does. She always comes up with all of these incredible products, services, ways of serving you. And so, depending on when you're watching this video, just check out her page, links, how to connect with her to see what she's up to when you're watching this video. So before we wrap up this episode, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone who, yes, they're in business and they think, oh, maybe I can consider introducing or exploring astrology for business growth, what kind of advice would you give them?
Beside hiring me, I mean, okay, well, I mean, I would say don't like find someone that you resonate with and follow their classes. Okay, don't I know there are so many resources on YouTube. I know there are so many books available. I know there's so many things available astrology wise, but if depending if you want to just use astrology and like have someone help you, or if you really want to learn astrology for yourself, then of course my advice would be different. If you want someone to help you like integrate it in your business, then hiring someone to help you do it for you and save you time might be a good idea. But if you're really down into learning the astrology for yourself, follow a class. Go, it doesn't have to be my class, but find someone that you resonate with and go follow their class, because that person usually already has a structure in place that is going to make you save so much time to learn astrology in a way that makes sense. Because when you go out there on YouTube or with books, I mean, there are so many directions that this could go. It's easy to fall into like a whole rabbit hole. And in the end, like you haven't learned a lot at, when you through the rabbit hole. So you just lose a lot of time and money. So follow a class. Okay. If you want to learn astrology, follow a class, invest in the damn class. Okay. Don't try to cheapen on this. Follow the damn class. Okay. Just do it.
Yes, and save yourself a lot of time, because I know with astrology is so multi-layered. Like you said, you can just go down the rabbit hole. I love this advice and I totally agree with it, because if you really want to focus on something and work on something and include something in your beautiful, precious business, like why just just trying different things without actually going to someone who can really help. So thank you so much, Veronique, for being here today with us. Thank you for being an amazing guest. To everyone who's watching, follow her, follow us, like this video, and let us know your thoughts. And thank you so much for watching. See you again next time. Bye.